Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. I am Anita Barela, and I use the pronouns she and her. I'm today's worship associate. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your image of the holy, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first time here with us, we'd love to get to know you. Please sign our guest sign-in book at the foyer. You can also speak with our greeter, Mike McNaughton, or Rebecca Howard, the chairperson of our membership committee. If you are joining us online, hello. Please sign our virtual guest book. The link is located in the notes below the video. You also may submit a virtual joy or sorrow to be read the next week in our service. To learn more about our spiritual enrichment programs for all ages, please feel free to talk to Terra Louise, our Director of Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment Programming. For kids here in our service, we have our activity table up front. We ask that kids use whisper voices to talk at this table. Kids can also stay seated with their parents. For younger kiddos, we have a nursery down the hall. Our nursery coordinator, Sarah Hamoud, can check in your kiddos. We have candles of community over here and in the back. You're invited to come up during the first hymn or now, anytime before the prayer time, to light a candle. And if you would also like to, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow in the book. Please go ahead and silence your cell phones this morning as we begin our worship service together. So you are now invited to greet your neighbor by introducing yourself. If you'd rather just wave and not shake hands, that is okay too. I will call us back with a chime.
Okay. Not super duper long, but folks say hi. Yeah, I wish there was like a second hand on the clock. Then it'd be like, it's like
1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes?
Yeah, most a minute.
Okay.
Oh. Huh? Cucumbers and what? Oh, okay. Cucumbers and shadow.
Shadow what?
Cucumbers.
Never heard of it.
All right.
Okay. And so Terra will now give us our announcements.
Good morning, beloveds. I'm Terra Hite, our Director of Lifespan Spiritual Enrichment, and it's wonderful to see you all here today on this Labor Day weekend. So church announcements can be read weekly through our email, can be found on our website, and on our monthly printed flyers, many of which are on the table in the foyer and on the back of our bulletin and in our social media. So today we're highlighting a few announcements. Please join us after the service for coffee and conversation, and come back to the sanctuary at 11:45 for a special forum with Mike Begnaud about church, web, and communication tools. And we'll get to discuss the church website, member and friends website, the Google Groups, email, and then you're welcome to bring your device or computer to follow along. So I'm looking forward to learning more about all these things. And after that, you can join us at the co-op for lunch. Our little co-op needs our support right now. Money spent at the co-op goes back into our community and shakes the pillar of big business and big profits that Krista talked about last week in our Resistance Leadership Service. On Wednesday, we will be having tea time in the fellowship hall at 3 p.m. Join us for tea and to talk about our love languages. And it is now time to register youth for kids and youth programming, so please contact me or Elizabeth if you have any questions about that. It's also time to sign up for Soul Matters monthly small group meetups that delve into different monthly themes that are the same as those being explored in the worship service. And don't forget to sign up for Knife and Fork on the monthly dinner meetups. So next Sunday, please join us at 10:30 a.m. We will be having a very different service. We'll start in here, but then we're going to be doing a labor of love in action worship. So we will join together as a church community at the regular hour, and then we'll be working in projects around campus. Please wear comfortable clothes, work clothes. There'll be lots of tasks for all ages and ability levels. If you'd like, please bring food to share. It'll be fun to fix things, move things, and uplift our space. Thank you.
We come together as a community every Sunday to pause and worship together. Worship creates connections within, among, and beyond us, calling us to live with wisdom and compassion, calling us to be our better selves. Our worship theme for the month in August is leadership. Today we're exploring the topic of Julius Caesar and leadership with our guest speakers, Kelly Dolejsi and Patrick Webb. Now let us light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our shared faith. And our chalice lighter today is William Hite. Hi, William. His favorite food are cucumbers and shadowberries. Here he comes. Let us rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn, number 126. Please remain standing, and let us join together in saying our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth in its sacrament and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. And now it's time for all ages. Terra.
So, what would you do if your older sister accidentally broke a vase that your mom loved? And then she said, "Please tell her the cat did it. I don't want mom to know I broke her vase." Would you protect your sister? Or would you rather tell the truth to your mom? Are there people who have told you to always tell the truth? Are there others that have told you to lie to protect someone? I'm wearing this really fun dress and this fancy headpiece to look like a character in the play Julius Caesar that Patrick and Kelly performed in the park earlier this month, and they are going to talk about it soon. The play was set in a time long ago and tells a story with a lot of decisions. So I've been thinking about decisions. And when one person tells me something that is opposite from what someone else has told me, is it better to clear your plate or to listen to the sensation of your body, knowing when you've had enough? One person said it's really healthy to listen to your body. And the next one tells you that you should never waste food. What do you do? Sometimes when I make decisions, I'll seek my parents' point of view. And they each tell me things that are both good and true, yet the opposite of each other. It keeps it interesting that there are so many ways to approach something, and sometimes it's confusing. Once, when I was a young adult living in New York City, I found a hat at an art market that I fell in love with. I only had so much money, and I loved that hat so much that I didn't know what to do. So I called my parents. My dad said I should save my money, and it was too expensive. My mom said that it was really special, and if I loved it that much, I should get it so I wouldn't regret it. And I would support the artist who had made it. The thing is, my parents were both right. This is pluralism. What do you do when this happens? Who do you listen to? Would you have bought the hat? Have you ever had that feeling in your gut that tells you something is wrong or something you are going to do just doesn't feel right? I get that feeling when I know someone may be harmed by my decision. This often happens to me when I'm buying food. We learned at Camp Blue Boat, food systems are really complicated. Farmers and land are really important. Last week, Susan and Aaron sang a song about people who worked on farms as farmers and who weren't treated as people. When I learn something, I can't go back to not knowing it, and it influences my decisions. I've learned a lot of processed foods contain palm oil. This is one example, which isn't good for our bodies and also isn't good for orangutans because they cut down the forest they live in where they grow the palm oil, the trees for palm oil. But not just that, they pushed out the farmers who were there. So these large palm oil plantations also take land from small farmers, which makes their traditional livelihoods impossible. When I have learned that there is a source of food that treats farmers and the earth poorly, I do everything I can to avoid it. I like to let what I've learned guide my decisions because then they sit better with my heart and my gut. Still, I'm uncomfortable to say this because I don't want to make any of you feel uncomfortable about any of your decisions. Opening our minds can be uncomfortable, but that isn't a reason not to share information. The dilemma here is Girl Scout cookies have palm oil in them. And I happen to love a lot of Girl Scouts, and I want to support them. What do I do? For me, making decisions is about thinking about what I have learned about, something about listening to my heart. It is about thinking about who may be harmed and about turning into my own intuition. Maybe it would be okay if your mom knew that your sister broke the vase. Maybe you have learned it would be an opportunity to experience how your mom might be upset and sad about her vase, and that she still loves your sister anyway, even when she makes mistakes. And sometimes there is a both-and answer. Maybe when you feel full, you can save your food for tomorrow instead of clearing your plate today, and you can put less on it the next time. When Girl Scouts come to sell me cookies with palm oil in them, I can give them money, and I can still support them without getting the cookies that would hurt my body and farmers and the orangutans. So when you have to make a decision, you can listen to lots of advice. You might hear different ways to do things. Then ask yourself, what does what I've learned say? What does my heart say? Who will be harmed? What does my gut say? Is there a both and answer?
For our offering for August is taken up on behalf of LA Cares Food Bank. LA Cares is our local food bank. In June, they wrote an article in the newspaper calling for support in these uncertain times when food assistance is being cut. The federal government has cut SNAP benefits and has cut the funding that the Food Depot Food Bank receives, which directly affects LA Cares. Please consider giving today in order to keep people fed here in our community. Please feel free to use the QR code for the Give Lively app on the screen. Thank you for sharing your monetary gifts this morning. May what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity this morning. May your gifts help people here in our community who are facing food insecurity. During this time, you're invited to come up to our candles of community. If you haven't already, light a candle and write a joy or sorrow in the book, which is the front table of candles. Joys and sorrows that are written will be read out loud. During this time, you can remain seated and join in our meditation song, 86, Blessed Spirit of My Life. Candles have been lit today in gratitude for everyone who worked so hard on the grounds on Friday, for those struggling to make new friends and keep the old. Prayers to give Gavin Newscomb the strength to keep doing what he is doing. Gratitude that my dear friend Donnie, who's hit by a motorcycle, is doing better. And for all we bring with us today, whether shared or held close in our hearts, all of these prayers are lifted up in this community today. May we begin by grounding ourselves in compassion, the true source of happiness and service. With a positive wisdom, let our actions today be guided by kindness and wisdom. May we strive for self-mastery, knowing that in conquering ourselves, we become instruments of peace. Let us walk this path with humility, serving others and doing no harm. As the Buddha taught, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion.
Julius Caesar arguably did a lot of good for the Roman Empire. He expanded their territory to include present-day France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and parts of the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Germany. More importantly, he pushed through many bills and laws aimed at the redistribution of wealth. He authored a land reform bill to divide land among the poor. He spent money on public works to help ease unemployment. He canceled a year of rent for the poor tenants, as well as 1/4 of all outstanding debt. He launched rent controls. And Caesar hosted many free festivals, parades, and gladiatorial games for the public. He was a very popular leader. Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar, which Patrick, Terry, and I, and many others recently performed with the Los Alamos Little Theater, makes Caesar out to be a tyrant. But in some ways, Caesar was more like Bernie Sanders than Donald Trump. So, who was calling him a tyrant? Despite all these popular programs, he was certainly not popular with the Roman Senate. The Senate killed Caesar's land bill, with Cicero calling the proposal a plot against liberty, claiming that Caesar's policies would lead to an onslaught on private property, cancellation of debts, and plundering of the well-to-do. And the government was running short on funds, which Caesar handled in part by initiating a high wealth tax, 100% on anything over the cap of 15,000 drachmas. The senators were unhappy with his lavish spending, but they killed him because he acted unilaterally. He acted alone. He was an executive branch, making decisions without the legislators. There was a profound concern that he was running the empire without them, that he'd gotten too big for his britches. As Caius Cassius, a Roman senator and lead conspirator in the assassination of Caesar, says to Brutus in one of my favorite speeches of the play, "Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we, petty men, walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves." Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Now, in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. When went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than with one man? When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walls encompassed but one man? Now, is it Rome indeed, and room enough, when there is in it but one only man? Cassius also argues that the people, both the populace and the Senate, were allowing this to happen. They were culpable for Caesar's actions because they did nothing to stop him. As Cassius says to Casca, a fellow senator, "Why should Caesar be a tyrant then? Poor man! I know he would not be a wolf, but that he sees the Romans are but sheep." In the play, as well as in the true history of the Roman Empire, Julius Caesar was assassinated by senators who, depending how you view things, were greedy men who wanted to keep their high positions, or noble servants of the Republic trying to restore democratic principles. Why do we like a given leader? Why do we oppose one? Caesar redistributed wealth, empowering the formerly disempowered. That's good, right? Should he have gone through the slower and more tedious democratic processes to do so? Do we value our leaders' successes by any means? I learned many things from Julius Caesar. One, listen to your wife. After all, Calpurnia told Caesar not to go to the Capitol on the Ides of March. Second, idealism alone is not enough to achieve real change. Brutus was incredibly noble and idealistic, but he lacked foresight and a deeper understanding of the forces at play. This allowed him to be persuaded by and used by Cassius in order to kill Caesar, which in turn led to a war, the deaths of Brutus and Cassius, and the deaths of pretty much all the senators, which was about 60 or 70, I think. Third, we need to be good citizens. The people the rabblement, or the common herd, as they are called in the play, were swayed even more easily than the conspirators to kill. Not Caesar, but anyone involved in the assassination. At one point, they murder a poet for having the same name as one of Caesar's killers. In a democracy, everyone, from those in government down to those in the lowest tax bracket, needs to be able to think. How else can we competently evaluate a leader? How else can we tell when a president has, for example, become an autocrat? How else can we determine when resistance or non-compliance is necessary? How else can we truly realize our own ability to determine our country's future? Critical thinking allows us to consider multiple viewpoints, to weigh evidence from several sources, and to consider context when confronting information. When we encounter more compelling arguments, it allows us to thoughtfully change our minds. A turn of phrase I recently learned comes from Shakespeare. I'm not here to persuade you whether Julius Caesar was or wasn't a tyrant, but I will say this. As my thinking about any situation becomes more clear, so does my call to action, the next right step, which, to be clear, is never murdering anybody. Another lesson from Julius Caesar: violence begets violence. And now I will peacefully hand the pulpit over to Patrick.
There we go. Julius Caesar was a tyrant. That is my statement as an authoritative voice. So Kelly talked about what a leader is, what a tyrant may be, and popular or not, and he was popular, Julius Caesar did intend to lead as the sole source of direction for the Roman Empire, a source of direction upon which all others may set their course. He even says as much just before his death. I could be well moved if I were as you. If I could pray to move, prayers would move me. But I am constant as the northern star, of whose true, fixed, and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. Caesar sees himself as the one true voice of leadership, the one true point of direction for the empire, constant as the northern star, and just as unique among men as the star is in the sky. Ironically, the North Star, Polaris, is in a convenient alignment of the axis of rotation and actually always going to be the North Star. In a bit over 10,000 years, it will not be. It is not constant, and neither is Caesar. But Caesar speaks with authority. And in the play Julius Caesar, he's not the only one who speaks with authority and convinces his fellows which way to go. The conspirators are especially vulnerable to this, so I'm going to skip ahead in my notes a little bit and then come back to Caesar and how he convinces himself and falls prey to authoritative voices around him. Throughout the play, characters are led astray from their ideas and convictions by voices speaking with a higher authority than theirs, whether or not that voice is backed up by any grounded truth or expertise. When the conspirators gather to plot at Brutus's house, Cassius suggests adding Cicero to the plot, and the others agree. Brutus remarks that Cicero will never follow what other men begin, and immediately the group changes their mind as Brutus's voice carries more authority than Cassius. Then Cassius suggests that they kill Antony as well, since he is Caesar's best ally, right-hand man, and best friend. And should Caesar die, he may cause problems. Cassius has good reason to suspect this, but again, Brutus shuts him down, partly saying, "And let our hearts, as subtle masters do, stir up their servants to an act of rage, and after seem chide 'em. This shall make our purpose seem necessary, not envious, which so appearing to the common eyes, we shall be called purgers, not murderers." Brutus asserts that their cause is so righteous and so just that the common people, from the lowliest farmer to the highest senator, will see that the killing of Caesar is necessary and just for the betterment of Rome. Even Antony will be so moved by this that he will side with them. Brutus has no basis for this whatsoever. He pulls this completely out of the stinky air behind him. Cassius is similarly making stuff up. He has no proof one way or the other in the text of Antony's intentions, but we can infer that he probably has a little bit more political grounding to what he's talking about. But because he, Brutus, is regarded so much better than Cassius to the conspirators, that the conspirators change their mind and yield to his authoritative voice. So what is an authoritative voice? It could be somebody speaking with expertise, somebody speaking with credentials, but it could also just be somebody who is viewed by a community or a group with respect. These are voices such as doctors, professors, learned people amongst us, experts in their field. You would probably not ask a dentist how to fly a plane. Neither would you ask a pilot how to do open heart surgery. Yet we still yield to authoritative voices in other areas, even in our own selves. Brutus talks himself into the righteousness of his cause and stays relatively convinced that everyone will go along with what he says. But even Caesar, so assured of his own unmovable quality, is blind to the fact that he can be led astray. The morning before his assassination, Caesar's wife talks him into staying home after bad dreams and a concerning prediction from a soothsayer. Then Decius Brutus arrives and reinterprets the dreams, flatters Caesar, teases that the Senate will crown him, but only if he shows up and doesn't appear to hide away and show weakness. Caesar cannot show weakness, so he agrees to go to the Senate. All along, Caesar believes that he is the wisest man in the room, yet Decius changes Caesar's mind with flattery, authority over fortune-telling, and provoking his ego that someone could convince him otherwise, such as his own wife. Sound familiar? Who's the wisest person in the room? I am the sole authority. I will be the one to fix it all. Whether or not Caesar is going to be popular and turn over land, wealth to the Roman people is somewhat irrelevant to the fact that Caesar intends to do this, as Kelly said, unilaterally, without input from the senators and without any sort of guardrails. He may have been a benevolent dictator, but he would have been a dictator nonetheless. So what is an authoritative voice? What is an authoritative voice? Someone speaking from a high office, well regarded in the field. The higher up the social ladder, the more authority, and usually that comes with credentials, but not always. And characters throughout the play pull arguments out of thin air, using their position, social regard, and personal charisma to convince others to their side. Brutus lays out pat justifications for Caesar's murder to the crowd, and Antony appeals to their fear and emotions, using his authority as Caesar's best friend to inflame them into a riot. Brutus goes up and lays out to them logically, I did this for your benefit. We killed Caesar because he would have been a tyrant. Antony goes up to them and tells them that Caesar loved them. Read Caesar's will, to which great amounts of money were left to every man in Rome. And the crowd sides with him. Antony I had this thing in my head about what Antony said, and I'm going to try to remember it because I didn't write it down. I just thought of it this morning. We do have Antony right there. Yeah, I know, and this is like an analysis. This is an analysis of what Antony says. Antony juxtaposes Brutus's supposed righteous cause with the actions that he makes. Of course, Antony says, paraphrasing, these are in my own words of what I'm putting on Antony, that Brutus and the conspirators have done this for you. Never mind that the power vacuum left behind opens up doors for their own personal growth, wealth, their ability to seize power, dictate the course of Rome, all without your input. That's okay, because Brutus is an honorable man. Antony makes an excellent point, and the people believe them, because he has a voice of authority. So I've wandered a little bit. I've talked about a bit about leadership, and I've talked a bit about authority. So, okay, so what am I going to say about what does it mean to listen to a voice of authority? We all want to listen to a voice of authority. It's scary to not have some sort of guidance, a voice of leadership, something telling you which way to go, especially when you don't know the course. Do you turn left or do you turn right? Do you go down this road or do you stop at this store? What do you do? So you look to somebody who knows the way. People with positions of authority, Brutus, Cassius, Decius Brutus, Caesar, speaking with authority, people follow them, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. So whose arguments are grounded and strong, and who is speaking with authority and has a foundation of a sound sandcastle? How do we tell the difference? It's critical thinking. And that's a tidy answer, so let's unpack that just a little bit. If someone is speaking with authority, it's worthwhile to ask yourself, where did they get their information? Why are they saying what they're saying? Who's going to benefit if we go along with what they say? What motivation would they have to say what they're saying? And does this align with any of our values? Connecting this back to UU ideals, talking about values, we can use that as a rubric when we listen to voices of authority. Are what they saying aligning with our values? Does this comport with what we should do and shape the world? Cassius, Brutus, and Caesar all could have benefited from thinking through some of all these things. Ineffective as they were, I messed up my sentence. Cassius, Brutus can all benefit from thinking through some of all these things. Oh yeah. We look at our own, there we are. We look at our own world and we can see how voices speaking with authority, such as, this is where it connected back to reality, our current Health and Human Services Director crusading against vaccines. The position of the director has a great deal of authority, but Kennedy's credentials are non-existent, and yet he has a great deal to say about the efficacy and safety of vaccines. Meanwhile, doctors struggle every day to convince the people that they care for, without gain to themselves, that they should protect themselves, their loved ones, against preventable and treatable diseases. I personally don't believe that allowing preventable diseases to run rampant aligns with my values. So question authority, ask those questions. Where did they get that information? Who benefits from this? Where did these words come from? Does this align with any of my values? Questioning authority doesn't mean defying authority. It means thinking about the motivations and foundations of the voice speaking and asking if it's really a good idea or not. Asking who it benefits and who it harms, who's saying it and why, and then making an informed choice as to whether to listen or turn away. I have so many more thoughts about leadership and voices of authority, but I did want to keep this focused on the play of Julius Caesar. So, I'll just take these critical thinking skills out into the world. Thank you.
Please, Please rise in body and our spirit for our closing hymn, When 66 Years Are Coming.
That's right. Wait, where are they? Oh, they're on the slide. There we go. The abuse of greatness is when it disjoins remorse from power. 'Tis common proof that lowliness is young ambition's ladder, whereto the climber upward turns his face.
But when he once attains the utmost round, he then unto the ladder turns his back, looks in the clouds, scorning the base degrees by which he did ascend. So Caesar may, then, lest he may, prevent.
Please join hands if you would like for our closing song, The Way. I forgot a part, but